You don't want to fill the whole thing, just enough. This is a rinse.
Yep.
And then I'm going to empty it into that tea tray. Do this time, we're going to fill it to 80%.
Sorry, how many seconds? 30?
20, maybe 30 max. And now you already empty it out into the decanter.
Woo.
And in coffee too, when you're making a pour over, you don't need a beautiful decanter. You don't need a beautiful kettle. You don't need any of that stuff. But
that stuff next level.
It does. There's a theater to it that's really attractive, and it turns it more into an art form and a craft. And I feel like for so many years I've been sort of, really trying to improve on the texture of our matcha and focusing on like finish firing and really understanding, the idiosyncrasies of different tea fields for production of our teas and stuff. But I haven't been giving as much love to loose tea preparation at the cafe level. And I used to think about it a lot. And I think that once I got to fast bar, I think I hit a point where I was like, I'll just be honest, I don't drink fast bar teas ever. Like, they're not something that I seek out. I don't go but I do think they're good, and I think they have a place, and I think that there's a lot of people that love them. But that's also true about a lot of things. So we really got to be doing things that give us purpose, right? And that inspire. So I want to do a good job with whatever I have, and but I'm just so like desirous of making this possible at a cafe level where people can have a Gongfu-cha experience, even if it's in a to-go cup where it's just three layered extractions,
Yeah, it's sort of like we've been doing the evening services with pizza and food and everything. And we do cocktails, and people love, like one of our cocktails is a smoked rosemary old fashioned that Joey makes.
Right.
And he's not like super showy about it. He's always doing it in the background, but he's lighting it on fire and smoke. Like he puts a lid on the thing. And
that's awesome.
Somebody was once like, whoa, you got to do that over here. Because he's kind of doing it in the back, like secret. But everybody wants to see the theater of it.
Right.
And they want to watch the flames and the smoke build up in the cup and then it be released. So it's like, there's a time and a place for both, right? Like on a busy Friday, you got 350 customers going through the door. You need to be able to get teas going and get out the door. And in that setting, when every seat is full in a 75-person cafe, this might not be the most relaxing thing to be doing when, but there's a time and a place where this is.
Yeah, that
would be really amazing to enter into the slowness of it. And I like the first I'm thinking of is like special events where you, like for me at least, where you'd say, okay, on a Saturday afternoon, we're going to do a slow tea bar, and we're going to work our way through, 3 or 4 teas in a really slow, thoughtful method, and this being one of them.
What if you paralleled that with your other dream or passion, which is the pour over coffees? So you did like a manual brewing afternoon. So it's not so it's the tea done this way, and the coffees you did like, your single origin or your, you do sort of a multi-roaster retail program these days. Like it would be a really cool opportunity for people to taste some of those beautiful coffees you have on your shelf. And this would be, it makes so much more sense to parallel it and make it part of that whole, hey, I want to do a manual bar. I just don't, And honestly, if somebody orders an oolong on a Friday, your cost drops pretty good, and it's a much better tea, even if you brewed it in a decanter and poured into a cup. And then it might be a little bit more, I don't know, you're not messing around with hot rims and learning a new technique, which is very simple once you have it down. But just like, I think I remember when I was first teaching you matcha, I said it's going to be clumsy in the beginning. But once you got it down, it's really easy. This is another thing where it's clumsy the first time you do it. You start kind of burning your fingers.
You get into it,
Yeah, and you start like, it's just kind of like, I don't really, like, I'm not really, it's very unfamiliar. But once you get like you see people that have been doing this for years and their deft movements and just everything's just so beautiful and easy and fast. And they wouldn't do it if it weren't those things.
Yes, totally.
Right.
Yeah, there's this there's a coffee shop in Kelowna that just sort of opened a secondary coffee shop on the side of their existing coffee shop.
Oh wow, okay.
They do really nice sourdough breads, and they're a fairly busy coffee shop.
What's
so
their
then
name?
They Sprout.
Sprout,
like,
great name for a bread coffee shop. That's great.
Yeah. And so then they, on the side of the coffee shop, they've opened another cafe called Slow Side.
Okay.
And so the concept there, and I think they're struggling to get it to take off. People are confused, but I get it. I get what they're trying to do. They're, this, if you're in a hurry or hustle and bustle, go to that side.
Yeah.
But if you're in for slowing down and a more contemplative environment, pour over tea, that sort of stuff would be very fitting over on that side of the bar.
A lot of people I've noticed that when 2% Jazz opened up their Hudson Bay location here, or Hudson location here in Victoria, there was also an area where it was like a slow bar to the left, or there was, or even Stick in the Mud out in Souk here had like a speed stick where they were like, okay, this is gonna be like the fast stick, Inevitably,
they just merge.
They merge because of labor cost, because the customer base doesn't perhaps understand it fast enough. It's almost like you got to do one or the other. And huge kudos to, I know they have multiple locations and they've gone through some really challenging stuff, but Matchstick, for example, has done pour overs from day one, and they continue to do so for all of their, like, that's amazing,
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
To do pour over coffees for every coffee that you ever serve, like, it's incredible. So, yeah, and I think it involves a lot of pre-dosing.
But you know what that does, though, in a way, not to knock that system, is it makes people order Americanos who are in a rush.
Totally, which is great, isn't it?
Which is probably fine. I think it's fine, yeah. That's what the customer satisfied, I think that's fine.
Right. So I think there's an opportunity there for kind of guiding people in that direction. Like, honestly, I think that a matcha should be faster than a loose tea.
Right.
It makes sense. You don't have to wait for the extraction at all, really. You're just agitating it into the liquid and you're done. So to me, matcha is like the espresso equivalent for tea.
Yes.
And then, I don't think, though, that we should not serve brewed coffee. I do see I guess if I had a coffee pod, I would probably be pretty committed to just serving Americanos for my coffee, because I wouldn't have the room to do anything else. And I can see it working if I had a little cart where I just didn't, like you had, like Ratio started as a cart, right?
Yeah.
Like, and to do matcha and espresso out of a cart makes sense, but it gets a little...
Yeah, matcha is a great way to do, even if you didn't have a loose leaf tea program, you're at least then offering a green tea to them.
Yeah.
In some way, shape, or form. So.
Yeah, and maybe the tea lattes make sense too, but.
Yeah.
But if you have a cafe and you are serving tea, and if you kind of wrap your head around a fast bar system where you're pre-dosing and you're emptying it onto a sieve, and then you're adding the water for 30 seconds and then it's done. This is sort of a merge between the specialty bar system and the fast bar system. It's not as fast as the fast bar, but it is faster than the other system, the 3 minutes.
Well, the thing about it really nice is somebody's getting tea within 35 seconds.
Right.
Or 40 seconds. If it takes you 20 seconds to set it up, they're going to get their first extraction within 20 seconds.
I have a friend in Montreal whose name is Charles, and him and his partner are growing some beautiful herbs where he's super into tea, like passionate, and he's growing his herbs like tea. So like with this a craftsman's approach. And I brought in some of his teas and I made them in the Gaiwan, and I did like an herbal infusion, a tisane this way, in like Gongfu-cha style. Or you can do even wild harvested teas like your spruces and things like this, and it gets really interesting.
Oh, that's very cool.
You can get very creative even with your herbal infusions.
Yeah, yeah.
So I again, you know, not to belabor the point, but in a really, like, say if you have like a lot of people lined up, can you imagine a system where you have it pre-dosed, you put it into say a decanter, and then you add 100 mils of water to the tea, and you have a timer going for 30 seconds, and you just pour it through, add another 100 mils, timer, 40 seconds, pour it through, add another 100 mils, timer, 50 seconds, pour it through. Would that be...
To go or for...
This is for to-goes.
To-goes, oh yeah, I see. I mean, that's what we do right now. If somebody orders, we just don't do this cup.
Right.
Like if somebody orders a wulong to go right now that's 180 mils, we do 2 steeps for them.
Right.
Because otherwise their cup is only this full, right? So we want to, if they're going to walk out the door with a 12 ounce or 10 ounce cup of coffee or to-go cup, we need to do at least 2 steeps for them to.
So this might actually work especially for your oolong service, where you could, instead of brewing 2-minute 90° centigrade water, you could do the Gongfu-cha system, which, by the way, always is 99, 100° centigrade.
Yeah.
And even for your oolongs that would normally require 90 for a regular system, they don't burn the same way in these shorter infusions and these cups that help them cool faster. So
this wulong here, this Yashi... actually, this is a sample you sent us.
Yeah.
Are the instructions you've given on here for this setup?
They are. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
but you would. I think you can drop the dose down to 4 grams, because you want to use 1 gram per 20 mils, and you know here I have 1 gram per 30 mils, but it tastes better at 1 gram per 20.
Yeah.
And so I would do 5 grams for 100 mils 3 times for a 10-ounce drink. And you'd be in a good place. You'd be in a really good place. Because imagine if you were brewing with volumetrics, you're going to be filling to a 300 milliliter line each time. Sorry, a 100 milliliter line each time. If you're brewing with mass, you can't use 100 grams each time because you need to make room for water absorption in the second steep. The second steep onwards, you should use about 15 grams less. So more like 85 grams the second steep, and more like 80 grams the third steep. And
very cool.
But if you're using the Gaiwan system, you're weighing the tea, but you're letting the brewer control the volume, right? Why don't we make the yashishang and then we'll call it a day? Does that sound like a
plan? Good.
Okay.
I was just going to time myself.
Okay.
In theory, I was like, oh, I could time myself doing a to-go cup and see how long it would take.
Let's do it. Why don't we? Do you want to try and do it like with the Gaiwan, or do you want to try doing it using the decanter as your brewer? What's your call here?
Well, I kind of want to try this tea in this method.
In the Gaiwan. Let's do it in the Gaiwan. Might as well. It's going to look cool, and you can always try it in just the decanter. I think, again, more than anything, staff would be afraid of this because it's unusual and they haven't worked with it and it's clumsy. But once you get used to it, Andrew, there's a reason why it's been around and continues to stick around for 1,000+ years. It's because it's easy, fast, and beautiful.
I just got to kind of give this a little bit of a rinse out.
Yeah, for sure. I'm doing the same thing. Just
next time I do this, nice. Spoons.
And it's nice you can actually do that in your tea sink. You can see. I'm just rinsing that out. Bada bing, bada boom.
I'm getting the tea sweats, Jared.
I just think it's such an interesting way to do it. And this style of infusion, I actually think, I don't know how to work it out yet logically in my head, but I think it's related to espresso extraction. These high doses, small amounts of water, flash infusions.
Yep.
I think there's a relationship there when it comes to something scientific.
So you're saying go to 4 because we're gonna underdose.
Okay, we're gonna do 4. So that's what this Gaiwan likes. You could get a bigger Gaiwan and do 5 if you wanted to, but the one I sent you is meant to do 4. And these leaves are crazy, hey?
Yeah, they're crazy. I love the look of them.
So they're nice. Yashi Xiang translates as duck shit aroma. And it was, the farmer was trying to freak out the local farmers around him, says the legend, so that they wouldn't steal what he thought was an amazing brew.
That's so good.
So, okay, so I've weighed out my tea. I'm gonna do a rinse. So I'm gonna fill the pot to just or the gaiwan to just above the leaves, and then I'm gonna drain it out. That's my rinse.
That smells insane already.
Yeah. And that's Mr. Chen, just an incredible farmer from Phoenix Mountain. And I also think that it's this kind of tea that just like it's gotten me so into tea. Like when I start smelling stuff like this, I just get so excited.
No, that's like I remember. Okay, so you took me to that sushi place right next to your spot.
Yeah.
And that's like the feeling like I felt there.
Yeah, like it's like,
oh, I'm so excited
right? Yeah, I just love it. I want more people to experience this. Okay.
Yeah.
So then you fill to 80%. 75% is fine too if you like it a little stronger. Remember, it's Gongfu-cha, so it's like you're kind of making it with the spirit. And then I personally cheat with my spirit, and I have a little timer going.
Yeah.
But it's counting up, and I just sort of go, okay, feels good, and then I glance down. I'm like, yeah, that's 15 seconds. We're in a good place. Okay, so I feel pretty good about that right now. I'm gonna let that go and extract for me. Okay, and again, smelling that freaking amazing aromatic out of the lid.
Ooh.
Just mind-blowing. And then gonna pour some into my cup here. And you wanted to time though what it would look like to do.
So I'm at
it blended,
48,
right? So we still gotta keep going. So I just took a little cheater sip, and I'm gonna do another 80%. I was at the 55-second mark when I started. I'm gonna let that brew a bit. If I go back to back like this, one of the nice things is it'll stay thermally hot in there, so I can go a little bit faster. So I think if I get, this one was at 55, so once it gets to about 120, I know for a fact that Chen's teas are prone to get a little bit over extracted so they're better at a little bit of a lower.
Now you're going 30 seconds the second time or 20?
I went with 25.
Okay, cool.
And then now I'm going for my third one. I started adding water at 1 minute and 35 seconds.
And the thing about this is somebody's watching you the whole time, so they're getting a show.
Right?
A bit of a show. They're not bored. They're going, oh, this is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, even if you just did this with your oolongs and like I don't think that your sencha would do well this way. Senchas are better if you make them in a little kyusu. Or you've seen those little Japanese teapots with the handles out the side?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are awesome, especially if you can find one that doesn't have a metal sieve but is like a clay filter on the inside. There we go. So that's 3 steeps. That, that's a decent amount of volume, no?
Yeah, that's quite a bit of tea.
Yeah. And then you try that out. That blended infusion. And even that is just so perfumey.
So what happens to the tea as the steeps goes on, Jared? It's not getting weak or necessarily just extracting differently, would you say?
I think that's exactly what's happening. Yeah, there's just different aromatics.
Like showcasing that moment of time.
Yeah. I would say that, have you ever done that trick with understanding espresso extraction where you take some of the first 10 seconds and then you take it after 20 seconds, you taste it after 30 seconds? I think there's, it's like trying to train people how to find the sweet spot.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's interesting because with this kind of botanical that's been enzymatically oxidized in this super interesting way, is you're unlocking different flavor compounds at different points. And I think one of the beautiful parts about drinking a quality infusion of tea is to have that journey of the multiple infusions. But it's really hard to do when you're drinking even 6 ounces each time.
Yeah.
Try and drink, 9 infusions that are 6 ounces each.
A lot of tea.
It's a lot of tea, and that's also one of the nice things about giving somebody a full thermos of water.
Yeah,
is
cool.
They get to the end and they're like, "Whoa, I'm already done!" Like it kind of feels weird, but yeah, you're done, and you've just drank 500 mils worth of tea.
Do you mind? Do you mind me asking on the channel what you charge for that experience?
Like, I charge $8 generally. Sometimes it's $12. It does depend on the tea. I have an $18 tea that's from the 1990s. It's an ancient tea. I would say the more commonly though, like for the oolongs that I often sell to, the Jean Chuan is a $6 for that experience.
So I guess my point in asking that is you're not charging more for this experience necessarily. Because I think you should.
Probably I would say that what I see my buddy Pedro doing at 05 is definitely a $10 kind of price point. At least when I was in his bar, it could be different now. For me, I'm roughly in that $8 to $12 range, generally speaking, for the people that do get their tea this way. I do sell it for $6 here and there, like a Jean Jume, but I also have reserve teas that I do. And that might be interesting too. Like this might be a way to explore JagaSilk reserve teas at ratio, where you can get like a floral Lapsang Souchong, or you can get like a Qilan from Wuyi Mountain, or a Rogui cliff tea that's just like amazing, Or I'm going to release some raw and ripe pu'er, and to be able to have a like raw and ripe pu'er from 2008 and 2015 in your shop would just be so dope, Like.
Well, so part of me is thinking about this in the evening, actually.
Right.
Because we have this kind of like ratio in the day is super busy.
Yeah.
But our evening vibe is come and sit for 2 hours, appies, cocktails. But I could imagine someone having this at the end of a meal and just loving that experience.
Yeah. I actually often end my meals this way. I love to just have like, I'll have like a nice pasta with the family, and we'll have like a good, a good wine or something, and then we'll wrap things up, and then once all the dishes are washed and we sit down, I bring a little tea tray out. I bring like 6 little tiny cups, and then I start brewing multiple infusions. We just hang out and talk, and it's just like you have one brewer, and it's just like.
Could you ever do this with a herbal tea or no?
I was just saying, like my buddy Charles, right in Montreal, he's doing some amazing herbal teas, and
this isn't going to go well for. Like this isn't going to happen well for a tea that's fine.
No, you need to have full leaf teas, 100%. Yeah. I have managed it with the Jean Jume, which is a very small leaf, but it's been impeccably sorted, so you don't have a lot of sediment. And one of the reasons you do that initial rinse is to get most of any sort of smaller sediment into the sink rather than into people's cups. Because
very cool.
It starts to plug the pores of your tongue, and you don't get as much interesting flavors. But yeah, this style, I would love to. I definitely see the slow bar. I have there's a cafe in town. I'm sure you know Hide and Seek, and they serve our specialty teas on the same menu as their
fast bar.
No, as their as their manual bar coffees. So they have the manual bar coffees listed with the JagaSilk oolongs and specialty teas. And then they have their sort of like batch brew, and they use a different tea company entirely for that. And they use us for actually 2 of the fast bar teas. What am I saying? We do like a special samovar tea for them that we invented with them that is for them. And then it's been a gradual process. But it was a wonderful, they didn't originally do this. I was working on my album for Truth and Dolphin at their shop while Mew was going to massage. And I remember just talking a bit and connecting, and then we started talking about tea, and And then he was like, okay, yeah, this makes so much sense. Like the tea that he was serving, he didn't feel as good about. And he thought what we were doing was really interesting. But I think that it's just so, I don't think it necessarily, why I bring it up is I don't think it needs to only be on the slow bar service. I think there's a way, like even in your fast bars, Andrew, maybe if you just did oolongs this way during the day, but then you opened up the program in the night or something, or you purposefully just have the oolongs marketed during the day, but if somebody wants it, like, why not kind of thing, right? Like make it for them this way. But I think at night, it's actually something that you actually have a menu card that you've made for it that's actually promoted and advertised, you know? Like, and that way people are aware of it and see it.
Maybe.
You know?
Oh, sorry. One of my staff said they sold a wulong, so they need to have it back for the bar downstairs.
Okay, there you go. And we have gone past our 3 o'clock that I said, and I know that you have an engagement you need to be at on time. But you know what I wanted you to think about though is just like, what if you got an oolong ordered in the middle of your donut service? You probably are not going to be super stoked, and you might be doing those 2 infusions to make a 12-ounce cup. But if you made it this way, it would actually be faster because you wouldn't be doing 2 times 2 minutes. You would be doing, I think I counted 1 minute and 35 seconds all in for me. No, actually, that's not true. It was 2 minutes for 3 steeps, which is, and that was not moving very fast. That was me moving very carefully and even stealing a sip at one point. Right. So you could totally do it, I think, in a minute and a half. And suddenly your oolong service, when you're busy, is actually faster. I think it's beautiful when you have a program that is fast, even if it doesn't appear fast.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Totally, yeah, where it's just kind of graceful in a way.
Exactly.
It moves quickly. It's funny because we were just talking about Shane. Remember, Shane from The Habit?
Yeah.
He always used to say, when you're behind the bar, you want to move less like a football player and more like a ballerina.
Yeah, 100%.
Placing things strategically, gracefully, yeah. So
this is totally that. I know that when you look at it, the first instinct is small, breakable, fragile, burning hands, messy. Like there's so many things. But once you're like, you got it, you're like, okay, I got this, And maybe we could even do like a training program or something. I don't know. Like I could teach you, we could do another seminar and I could just show like, let's learn Gongfu-cha together, and we could just have everybody make it and feel comfortable holding the gaiwan and, and get people Anyway, I want you to think about it. I sent this to you because I wanted you to, I love how much you've contributed to the philosophy of JagaSilk through our dialogue. We've had a lot of good conversations over the years, and I want to see this way of brewing. I want people to experience this. I want them to smell that yashixiang aromatic and just get blown away.
Yeah. Very special.
It's exciting. So, yeah. Anyway.
It has a jasmine quality,
Say that again?
It has almost like a very floral jasmine-y quality to it.
It does. I love, and again,
but
I just love teas that are this aromatic without having anything added to them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's just amazing. Do you have any final comments you want to say before we wrap things up here, Andrew?
No, I love it. I mean, it makes me think a lot. I'm like, ooh, how do I'm already thinking, like I have breakfast every week with somebody and on Fridays, and he loves this sort of stuff. So I'm like, I'm going to do this tomorrow morning.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
And just practice it, just see how it goes. And then somebody will try it and they'll go, oh, that's amazing. And so it'll
gel and foment. Yeah, I love it.
Kind of like we have a siphon coffee brewer on our shelf behind us, and we don't ever use it. No. But it's like, if the mood's right and Andrew's interested, he'll make you one.
Amazing. Yeah. So that might be the end result, but maybe not. Maybe there's a way this can be systemized and executed so that everybody's like upping their game, because we always got to improve. And holy crap, man, if we can get a tea service like this that's like efficient and beautiful, graceful, fast, and blowing people's minds,
pretty cool.
Sweet. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, Thanks, Andrew,
man.
for humoring me. And
appreciate this as well.
Awesome. All right. Well,
Cheers,
have a wonderful day, and good luck with the rest of it. And I'm sure we'll talk more.
Thank you.
All right. So that was Andrew McWilliam from Ratio Coffee over in Vernon. And if you haven't checked them out, you need to do so. ratiocoffee.ca. A really fun conversation about really Gongfucha and the potential for that tea service at a high volume cafe, kind of bantering back and forth about what that might look like and how it might happen. And really great conversation. Andrew's always been an inspiration. 10 years plus we've known him, I think closer to 12 or 13. And not only on a brewing tea and coffee level, but also on management and just how to be a good human being. And boy, is he ever a good human being. So I really encourage you to go and check out his stuff. ratiocoffee.ca for the website. If you're in Vernon, it's on the train tracks. He's taken over an old train station and renovated it into a beautiful coffee and bake shop with some beautiful pizzas, cocktails, amazing natural wine selection. Yeah, just a passionate and amazing space to poke your head into and grab some goodies. But if you want to try that yashixiang that we were drinking, you can buy it off of our webpage if it's still relevant. I don't know if you're watching this far into the future, but if you're watching it where it's just come out, which is now, you can go on there and you can grab some of our yashixiang. So looking forward to even maybe seeing you down here. JagaSilk's open on Fridays if you're in Victoria, 12 to 4, if it's not a stat. But check out our social media. We generally let you know if we are closed for whatever reason, but we plan on being open this week, tomorrow, and hopefully we'll see you here. And if you want to comment in our comment section about any questions you have, we'll do our best to answer them. Share this video with your interested friends, and looking forward to seeing you next week. So this video will be released or has been released in 2 parts if you're watching this, and I hope you grab both of them and you enjoy both of them. Thank you so much. I'm Jared Nyberg, jagasilk.com. Check us out. Peace. Take care.